pure chaos.
It do be like that. Buttons are pressed.
Welcome back to Exalted Essence, Crimes of Nature. Last time, a tense détente was had with Ruby Gauntlet Tyrant at the core of an incredibly powerful First Age weapon piece that fueled the Sword of Creation. And some attempts at diplomacy were made back and forth in terms of probing each other for weaknesses, motivations, what could be used to make the other work for the other side. Tyrant, on his end, was fairly unrepentant for what he had been doing, and more or less gave the excuses of, you live like this long enough and see if you wouldn't have the same idea as I would. However, also let slip through investigation and the probing questions of others that he had information and actionable ways to act against the Death Lords that he worked for, the Masked Winters and the Weaver on Pombaluma Flesh, and was willing to at least work parallel to the Hearth and able to assist with that, as his original plans seemed to be crumbling apart, as his co-conspirators' more direct personal ideals and schemes were coming to the forefront. This seemingly was also confirmed when Thousand Miracles Yang did a form of innovative, we'll call it divination, by basically giving the plot to a bunch of children and then giving them an improv theater prompt based on it and watching what they did. Otherwise, the satrap was filled in on what was going on, got another massive headache. Regional politics were filled in. Several of the Hearth actually got a first introduction, including Repose. Schemes were advanced. Boat was boarded for further discussion, and right now the Hearth is kind of sitting with the information that they have learned and deciding on what is the most actionable thing to do next.
Okay, so first thing. Morning rolls around and Obsidian slams into Milan's room and says, "We're going to see the satrap."
Sat on my mute button. Huh? Yeah? Sorry, what?
Look, I have a plan to make the area stronger.
Okay, just give me a moment. Milan rolls back over in bed.
You roll over slightly enough to bump into Moat and feel a pair of claws gently against your cheek, just like, nah, wake up.
Milan gets out of bed, already fully dressed, after having screamed into the pillow for quite a while.
As we are getting ready to go, because this is, I wouldn't know in character. We're just saying to Milan, hey, you went to see the satrap, right?
Yeah, we spoke several times.
Did you tell her at all about you bringing a majority of your family here?
Well, I negotiated for territory.
Okay, so she knows. Good. Good.
You wanted to go see her?
Yes. It's about time that people start pulling themselves together.
Good. Hey, don't bring up any lineage or child parentage or anything. That's why Yang's not allowed to see her anymore.
There is a look at you from Obsidian of, I am a man who was disowned by his family.
Shrug?
Anyway, we can hop over to Satrap's office, as I feel the best way to set the scene is there's a knock on the door, Milan enters the room, then Obsidian enters the room.
The satrap is, like, how early in the morning would this be? I would say.
Oh, that was probably an afternoon screaming into a pillow stress.
Right, but would Obsidian like wait until the next day, or like go back on the same day?
No, Obsidian's high on this. We're going now.
So yeah, this would probably be getting into the evening of the same day of the incident. So there is a moment where you walk back up to the front gates of the satrapy, and the guards are just like, "Oh no, not again!" and just immediately step out of the way, let you in. Inside, the satrap is actually not in her throne room. When you ask for where she is gone and for directions, she is in one of her studies doing what it looks like to Milan. Even to Milan, that looks like a lot of paperwork. It's just, oh my god, just a lot of internal cross-referencing of older notes and older things and current filing of reports of what just happened and repair crews. And she just looks up, sees Milan come in, and her face falls a little bit, and sees Obsidian kind of take up the entire doorway behind, following in. Face drops it a little bit more. Tell me there's not another problem.
Oh, no. I have a solution.
Go on.
Wait for a reaction.
That is just kind of an in-character silence, which is like, okay, go on.
Hypothetical situation. Not saying this is actually happening. Just throwing a situation out there. Would you say Great Falls would be able to handle a lot of things that came at it? Bandits, so on, so forth?
There is a blink from her. What building do you think you're standing?
Okay. But you'd say that there is probably at least even with recent knowledge, things that Grey Falls would not be able to stand against on its own.
Several months ago, I would have said we could hold our own against anything out here. I have reassessed my position recently, although we would put up certainly considerably more of a fight than any other region.
Is there a map in the room?
Yeah.
Okay. I point at the map, and it's, let's assume it's a ish map that we use for the adventure sort of area. A small. She has a big map of the world, and then smaller map of the immediate.
Yeah, like
area.
it would be like it would be this map. It would be roughly from Grey Falls upwards and a little downwards, just kind of to get pointer, like a map of like this whole space.
Okay. So Obsidian would start pointing at locations, start listing off the people living there, and also like make reference of the Jade Orchid, where, correct me if I'm wrong, lore wise, that's where Cascade is going to be residing over for a little bit. Yeah. So one of my brother's wife will be here, and pointing in the general area where Milan has said that he has gotten land of, and my brother here will be here, and points over at Trident River and say, and my other brother is making a name for himself here, and would point at the swamp area, and another of my brother has family here, and so on. It just keeps going. None of these areas would be able to defend themselves if an attack the scale that we could guess would happen on their own. Why do we stay separate?
Traditionally speaking, it's because the people to the north wanted to resist direct realm hegemony, and their own internal disputes left them at each other's throats for a considerable amount of time due to long-standing personal grudges, political reasons, and, frankly, petty grudges.
I did not point directly at the swamp. I just said that,
in that area.
Yeah, Yang has family in here. Understandable. Differences are seen. But arguments could be made that it could be that ages have happened, generations have changed. Why not an alliance? A 100 Kingdoms alliance, let's say. Maybe not that far, but in the immediate area.
Are you proposing that we join the Confederation of Rivers?
No. Like, each town will still be independent, but will meet at a council to determine how we deal with various things one way or another.
So you propose a secondary confederation outside the Confederation of Rivers with less centralization, presuming that we are far enough away that none of the major players, as she gestures to the map on her own, tapping her fingers on the Venetian Shogunate, Great Forks, Nexus, Shijan, and Lookshy, none of them particularly care about what happens out here, as she taps her finger on the river bed.
Exactly. A confederation that deals with the problems that happens here, as opposed to a confederation that deals with the problems on the entire river.
Well, the Confederation of Rivers was founded primarily to stop aggression from the realm. And considering that the realm is, as she kind of glances over all the way to the left-hand side of the map, likely going to be busy soon, it is unclear whether or not they are going to attempt to capitalize that, or if they're going to fall to their own sort of infighting, or how they are going to... The Confederation's own internal strife has always been its greatest asset for us as the realm, but stitching together an alliance from sort of... She just kind of waves a hand, searching for a word. Even if there are very real and pressing political reasons to have some sort of overarching confederation or council or league, I find that you will likely have a difficult time arguing them all to get together in the same room as me.
Ma'am, I wasn't listing how many of these states are connected through a hearth for no reason.
Do you think you each individually have that much control over all the people of that region to drag them into the fate that they saw themselves as resisting? Exactly how are you going to explain to them that this is not going to be me having a chokehold over their throats?
By being part of a council where each person's vote is equal.
There is just a sidelong look to Milan of like... In her eyes, it is the look of, does he realize how easily subverted that is? Like, that is a kind of unspoken question in Milan's direction.
I'm thinking of the look I give back.
Parliament?
Like, her experience to that kind of thing is, oh, so you mean the deliberative, the thing that sucks.
Consider this, ma'am. And he is attempting to think of a good example, more or less, of like, okay, so there is a vote for the transportation of, what's that fucking, not sulfur from the one place?
Fire dust.
Fire dust. There's a discussion of the safe transport of fire dust from points at place, because I myself am forgetting the names of places.
Iron Dust Manufactory and the Wildfire Pocket.
From the Iron Dust Manufactory across the entire region. And there's discussion of defending of the caravans and what have you, and how each nation would defend the caravans across a certain part of the 100 Kingdoms that we are a part of here. One of the city-states just decides, well, I don't feel that we need the dust, or, we should put our manpower towards this. That is their decision. We are not going to move against them unless they act against us. And we will they just will not get the benefit of the caravan.
Two questions that I don't think you've properly addressed. Number one, you're inviting the guild into this, by virtue of inviting everyone else around them, and them having the strongest economic tie on that section of the 100 Kingdoms. Have you considered whether or not they're just going to take your lattice and insert their own economic controls into it and take it out from under?
I have thought of the guild. I am a merchant man. I am constantly thinking of the guild when it comes to my own businesses. That would be a problem to weed out. I am merely proposing the initial idea. And when I mean weed out, I mean I would like the guild not to be in the place I do business anymore.
A flashback to piracy on the way back home.
Yeah. There's the flash of a crooked smile of, well, that's something both of us can agree upon.
Make that 3.
Now, the other issue, I would say, is that your ideals are noble, and I will be forthright in saying that in the current confusion and chaos, any sort of expansionist aims I had are rather curtailed as to covering our own asses, considering that the enemy forces can get quite alarmingly close to places we would rather not have them. So it seems best to have an inward focus for the time being. However, I don't think, with the history of the Satrapi's presence here, and our outreaches towards the Great 100 Kingdoms regions, even if we are one vote and one council, we would have considerably more military force than the rest of them, and I don't think that telling us to have any sort of disarmament is going to be something that flies, especially when this entire prediction is based upon the idea of us being the military aegis.
I mean... I myself am not actually getting what she's getting across here. Should I roll for this?
The short version is, yeah, sure. You can tell them we have one vote. We also have 5,000 swords. If it really comes down to it, we could just tell them to do what we want. How do you convince them that's not a problem? If they want our swords, that basically guarantees that we are in a position where we have the swords and we do. Like, you are setting up a Praetorian Guard situation where, yeah, you have the giant standing military. Oh no, the giant standing military is actually the one calling the shots now, no matter what anybody else says.
I want to make a war roll.
Go ahead.
That would be... I would say... define for me what fortitude is again. Force is brute force. What is fortitude?
Patience, resilience, being meticulous.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that. I'm gonna make a roll of fortitude plus war of, hey, if we actually got all the kingdoms to join together, would all of the other kingdoms outnumber Great Falls?
Go ahead and roll with the stunt for your 2 dice.
Okay. Hold up. I'm looking at my charms for war. No. I have 2 war charms. Well, that's an 8.
So, you've immediately touched on the real politic of the military situation out here. The reason the Grey Falls hasn't been aggressively expansionist is the fact that everyone would turn around like a swarm of bees and kick them in the mouth. However, if it was a protracted war, it would be a situation where, okay, they punch you back to Grey Falls, and then Grey Falls as a militarily enforced city is kind of impossible for even a coalition of the 100 Kingdoms to crack, because it is heavily fortified, it is supplied by river, and has a first stage manse. It would basically be a forever war until one side or the other decides that this is no longer.
Okay. A further presence plus force of saying, well, in the hypothetical situation of any of these nations in this alliance turning against the rest, there would be the situation of that nation having to face down all the other nations, and do consider that one of the Hearth members proposing this alliance does travel the river quite often.
And has considerable military experience.
Shrugs.
So long as you can pitch that to them to make them comfortable enough.
It is the idea that in an alliance that isn't completely grounded, one sword does keep the other in the sheath.
She kind of shrugs with her palms up. As I said, I am not opposed to this idea of a faction building project, especially to stand against short-term threats and eventual long-term threats. And you can very briefly see her eyes glimpse back to the direction of the Blessed Isle on the map. Maybe not in a way that she intended you to see, but you are watching her carefully enough to just get that. But it may be more difficult than you propose. But if you are simply asking us for my yes or no on the matter of interest, I would be interested in coming to the table to discuss it, yes.
Well, that's the first step in this, isn't it? Getting the largest nation amongst them on board.
That's the first step you've taken. Let's see you take the rest.
Would bow and say, hopefully this turns out well.
She nods. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have several incredibly irate geomancers to placate.
That's a good note to bring up. I've decided the general idea for what I want to do with the advantage successes on the introductions. So aside, however much of that result is needed to get the material component for the sword forging, I feel like as part of the introductions, what Repose has aimed to do is to help set up Shea Khan with their new portfolio, give them a chance to start shifting how they are branded with this reintroduction and relaunch. And in particular, putting them forth as a god of deterrence. That the purpose of big, shiny, wondrous super weapons is that they never have to be used, ideally.
Yes.
Give them an opportunity to channel the despair and the terror that they felt as a being that survived the last big incident.
Inviting this god to the table would probably send a good message.
Also,
the overhanging omen of there is a result that no one wants to happen.
I don't know if this would classify as that, but Darren, if this is part of an overarching endeavor, let me know.
This would probably be the start of a venture, actually.
Venture, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let me look at an example of active governance, lead organization, recruitment. Yeah, this is what this is. And, oh, look at that. Common dice pools include war rolls. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that war roll you made earlier your effective roll for that. And let's see. What common obstacle would be... First obstacle, infamous reputation, difficulty 4. So the first obstacle is, hey, Grey Falls is like a explicitly colonial empire outpost that is only turning coat because it realizes that its bread is buttered on a different side now. So how do you get past that? And that first roll is a combination of the arguments that you pose and probably the lead-in with the advantage from Repose of Shea Khan being a god of deterrence would be a very good addition to that. So you have cleared that initial roll with 4 advantage successes. So write down for now that you have 2 obstacles left and you have 4 advantage successes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to find... Okay, no. I'm gonna put this way under intimacies.
Darren, that reminds me of my own venture going on. I didn't mark down the number of threshold successes on the first roll.
Though that's the one you dumped into basically forcing your friend's hand, if I remember. Or was that the second?
Well, the first one was getting the papers signed. No, that's right. I did dump it into.
Yeah, because you had like 7 or 8, and I let you trade that for forcing your friend out into the open.
That's why I didn't.
So yeah, you don't have any advantage successes right now because of that.
I have 4 from recruiting the Geomancer.
Yes.
But yes, the overarching goal of Obsidian now of the fucking 100 Kingdoms needs to get their ass together. They are fighting amongst themselves when there are way more problems going on.
Yeah.
Well, Obsidian, you've got the largest force in the region on your side and the smallest force in the region on your side. Consider me and my 1 population on board.
I'm sure you'll have people flocking to you in no time. He like, there's a genuine smile from like, come on, man, you're way more charming than you give yourself credit for.
That's gonna get a sheepish smile out of Milan. Aw, jeez.
So yeah,
City is forming the Crystal Braves, and it'll turn out fine.
Yeah, I was thinking that this whole time.
Yeah, no, this whole time I've just been kind of like,
No, but the difference here is Obsidian is not creating his own fucking private army.
Yeah, no, you are not nearly as naive about this as Alphino was. So, shifting over, yeah, that would be a good lead into Repose if you had a scene in mind or just general activity.
Okay, hold up. There's a question proposed from the chat of would Old Man be on the council, and
Old Man would be on the roof.
I predate a fair number of the cities in the 100 Kingdoms.
Yeah,
I feel like
you are older than several of the kingdoms in the 100 Kingdoms, possibly a plurality of them.
The 1 seat of the Old Man on the mountain. Why does he get 1 vote? He's 1 person.
Because he's been around for longer than most of us.
And then they see Old Man finally show up to a meeting once a year, and they go, "Oh, that's why."
Oh fuck. Okay. Yes.
Old Man.
Old Man.
Is that a god?
What is that?
Sort of, yeah.
Old Man goes to sit in his chair, and the god of the mountain's already sitting in it.
So if we're cutting back to folks who are on the boat, though, I do have something
the rest of the crew would still be on boat.
Something that I've had in mind to follow up on. So Repose, having probably overheard mention of avoid discussing family and infidelity and such, would have then just kind of slid on over into Yang's general proximity while conspicuously doing, miscellaneous handiwork.
I was going to put this off for a bit, but I am planning on starting a venture.
All right. So.
Yeah. Yang is going to figure out how to electrolyze souls, basically.
I beg your pardon?
Like, grab spirit matter and then just sort of shave it off a bit.
Okay. That's
incredibly high. We're starting with Nixie tubes.
To shift scene over to on boat. But is this related to
Repose is shaping and polishing a rock while Yang is wizarding up another fantastical mechanism to achieve something?
It's figuring out the mechanisms for, like, the basics of how you even attract or release souls to start with.
Yeah, so, okay. To understand what you're saying by electrolyzing souls, you want to break souls down into their base components, is what you're saying? Or...
Right now he's just kind of playing in this space and going like, can I even, like, shave a coppering shaving off of a soul? Is that possible?
All right.
He's proving hypotheses.
First question, what's your base material? What are you working with?
Well, that's the first part of the science. So in the giant giant scheme of things, Yang is trying to figure out if he can solve the Riverborn crisis by just, shaving a little bit off the top every millennia. For a few millennia.
Okay.
Forever.
And so, first thing would... Okay, yeah. In character, let's have this discussion go on while I think about what the hell I do with this in the venture system.
Like, this is more steps than he will be alive for, is what I'm
Yeah.
planning.
This is a suitably Yang venture.
There will be actionable bits, though, during this plan.
Basically, he is figuring out, like, the fucking blueprints for, this is a theory to do this. I died before I could actually implement this, but I'm pretty sure this would work.
So yeah, currently on boat, Yang is just over in a corner meddling with something from the alchemical cabinet. It actually looks like most every sort of distillation and alchemical tool has been pulled out of the cabinet onto the deck of the boat, and Yang is just pacing between all of them, putting stuff into them and watching and thinking as Repose sidles up.
Part of the crew is watching intently. What the fuck is he doing this time?
Yeah, like the evening watch is just carefully watching to make sure that this doesn't light fire to the boat.
Repose will watch quietly and listen in on the arcane mutterings until he has a bit of a sense of what Yang is starting to investigate.
Well, they just need to be born, that's the problem. So what if we do it very slowly over so much time, no one's ever going to notice? Just a little bit of crime, just a little bit of embezzlement.
If Repose had hairs on the back of the neck, they probably would have just shot up.
If it's that small, it can't hurt anyone. It can't get out of control because it's basically just like a fucking popcorn kernel going off once every 100 years, right? That would work.
Starting by moving small stones.
What? Yeah, I figured out what you meant by a mountain.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
one of the
there is.
traditional answers.
No, the answer is I can't, but I can have my life set up the tools for someone else to move the mountain. Like if I set up the scaffolding and put the chisels in place, right? Someone might, right? Right?
Nodding, continuing to, he's chipping away at another rock. He is starting work on next idol, because there's always a next idol.
Oh, what's that one?
At this point, it's just it's still mostly its original rock shape. So he just continues to kind of quizzically look it over at first.
Boat emerges from some container full, etc., to sniff at the idol before popping down, and then start to carefully, inquisitively poke at the alchemical instruments. Just a single paw extending out and just kind of going tap, tap.
You think it's ethical to, like, wrangle... I mean, they were put in a box for a reason, right? And then some asshole's like, what if we took them out of the box? And we gotta do something about it, right? Right? Like anything.
Those are the sort of questions a surgeon should be agonizing over. Good
yeah,
questions.
I have been thinking about it as sort of spirit surgery. I don't even know what the fuck I'm trying to do right now. I need to figure out the terminology I need to use in the first place. That's where I'm at right now. I should go study the...
Well, if you are entirely engaged in this, I could return at a later time. We've many days ahead of us for other affairs.
I need a break. What's up?
Repose spends a moment staring off into the distance, pondering, and then just kind of clicks back into the situation. There is no smooth road that leads into the subject. Forsaken children.
Like okay, like literal forsaken children, like orphans, or like?
So you say the
opposite.
I've heard it claimed I heard it claimed that you've claimed that the satrap has.
Oh, you want hot goss? Oh, you want? Oh yeah, no, sit your ass down. Let's talk. I don't actually remember the details of this, but Yang would.
Child out of wedlock, and specifically out of the usual dynastic ways of passing down your lineage.
How old?
Probably would be about 12 or 15 by now.
What are you thinking? Do you think this is the thing?
Well, that is about the age that one would become mindful of. There's a lot of in-character awkward silence. Mode probably has to keep sliding into conversation and
gentle
Do you want me to go find them? Or are they a ghost, do you think?
I would certainly hope that the child is alive, safe, cared for.
Well, the satrap looked like she was about to leap over the table and sort of push me through a window when I just blurted that out. So, like, you know, she probably cares. Damn, it's gonna hurt.
Yes, good.
Fuck around and find out.
Actually, now that you mention it, can I roll something to, like... Can I expound on the situation in which I heard these rumors and drill for more information?
You picked up the perfect memory, didn't you? You have Archive Mind as well?
I think I did.
Yeah, if you picked up the Archive Mind Charm, you wouldn't need it.
Yeah, so whatever Yang knows, Yang knows.
So basically, the way you heard it was basically just during one of the Sinus parties that you were around in on when your cover as a Sinus family member was much more needing to be actively maintained. And the rumors were that before she came over as a satrap, and part of the reason that she might have gotten a combination genuine promotion during the whole swiping of the satrapy / now you're on the other side of the country is the whole oops, you went against the matriarchal line and, you know, went out and had an affair and had a child outside of the planned arranged marriages and ways that would guarantee that whoever you would have a child with would be guaranteed to be a member of our family politically. She slept with another member of a great house out of wedlock, which massively complicates who that child goes to if and when they are exalted. So it is likely that her child is still probably back on the Isle. It is really unlikely that they would have let her take her child out to this region.
Relay this.
Okay, so probably back on the island, there's an important piece of information that settles the concerns here. Between that and the, okay, how old of a child are we talking about here?
About 15, yeah.
Because, yeah, outside of dialogue, Repose would consider that, hey, you know, if...
Do you want us to kidnap her for leverage?
So, there are a lot of angles going on at once here, so...
I'm very alarmed.
Diagram will start forming. Chalkboard appears. Alright, so bullet points that will start getting put down here. First of all, first level of concern was, okay, unaccounted for Forsaken child, if they were older and more equipped or had more time to be situated, and especially if they were out here, you know, that's all of the red flags for might be scheming against, hated
Creation.
non-parent, and thus be somebody who the enemy might have been trying to influence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
But okay, the fact that the kid is probably back on the Isle and hasn't been hiding out here the whole time or something. All right,
Yeah, I don't think Ruby
fine.
Gauntlet has been much at the Isle.
Also,
honestly,
that preempts the idea that any of the people we have been dealing with so far are said bastard having, fallen off a cliff and wound up attuned to ruinous powers.
Mm-hmm.
The magical cliffs sometimes do that, yeah.
So, all of that eliminated. That probably kid is not currently Doom. Or Doom affiliated.
Alternative thought running through my head now. What if it's Yang?
That'd be fucked up. God, I hope not.
Actually, Repose will put that bullet point on there of Yang's approximate age is much older than that, so that eliminates the are you sure that you, strange forsaken woodman, who was
actually
found in the wilderness near this person, who had a forsaken son?
I mean, it's possible I'm royalty and someone just dumped me out in the woods because, they figured being exalted nobody is better than being exalted monarchist, and to that I say, yeah, thanks. I probably would have hated that.
But for the time being, that is not your house. Which, okay, good to also have that eliminated. All of that aside, so this kid is just kind of a neutral piece that seems to be on the board. Which then opens up the, alright, so what if we want leverage over the kid?
So we are going to kidnap her. I mean, we got rid of those portals, so it's going to be...
It's a next year sort of consideration.
Long-term child endangerment.
Well, I mean, if the Isles are still there next year, yeah, sure, we can go.
Any scheme that moves this child further from center of civil war is probably a relative step down of danger.
Yeah, if we rescue her from a civil war, then the satrap would owe us, and we wouldn't be monsters. That's a win.
But again, at that point, just off of the years, okay, so that's a next year problem. That's not...
Yeah, it's probably after campaign issues.
Yeah.
Though, being prepared to go out and do this, and having a plan to present on the subject, that's something that we can have ready as a diplomatic coin to throw at the satrap.
You want
depending on whether or not the satrap likes the bastard. Which might be an issue we can force.
Yeah, I'm assuming she likes the bastard. I don't actually know.
Which, if she doesn't like the bastard, then...
Congrats, just
we are an orphanage. Pointing again at his various accoutrements as a priest.
Hey, look, free child.
Does anyone want this kid?
I left a baby in the park.
Local heretic church slides up. Hello.
It's at this point that Milan and Obsidian walk back onto the boat.
Always be adopting.
There's
Collect
very
eggs. Form
Always
bombs.
be indoctrinating. Wait, adopting. That's the one.
you hear Obsidian say. So anyway, I was thinking like it should be a name that still keeps the whole 100 Kingdoms thing, but signifies that we're united. Something like a United Kingdoms.
No.
Sorry, I just needed to get that one out of my brain. It was gone forever.
Cursed.
There's probably
Gee,
also.
how do we
set
make sure this one doesn't have hegemony over the other ones? We'll make a United Kingdom. That'll do
Union
it.
of Kingdoms.
Mulan is running through the thoughts of, okay, how much leverage and weight do I need to exert to push Obsidian into the river?
It's surprisingly little if he doesn't see it coming.
Next slide on the presentation is probably gotten around to the point of, Yakuman, defender of the 13 orphans. How many orphans have you recruited? You
Barely
should
recruit
name some
myself.
orphans.
Look, I need to be able to recruit myself before I can recruit anyone else.
So are you orphan 1? Are you orphan 0?
Well,
Is
shit, how many
Yakuman
moms do I
himself
have now?
one of the orphans? Start this.
Can I really be called an orphan? Stop throwing questions. Look, are you going to help me with this soul thing or not?
I'm gonna go back below deck and start screaming into my pillow again.
Boat follows behind.
Not being on deck, Angler leaps up onto deck from the water because he'd been doing a lap around the boat. Just kind of shakes himself off. What did I hear about a United Kingdom and what are you doing?
Hi, hello. I proposed the idea that the 100 Kingdoms should form a council.
What are you going to call it?
Working idea.
About, like, the Pact?
That sounds dark.
What's wrong with the 100 Kingdoms, though? I mean, they don't need to change their name.
The 100 Pacts.
What was
It can
in the
be
meeting?
a collection of allied kingdoms. That's a thing you
No,
can do.
we
They
should
can just be-
update the number. We should have it be an accurate number of kingdoms. We should do a census to make sure it's accurate and make sure we should fine anyone who gets it wrong every year.
Hi, hello, did someone say census?
What?
Milan's interest has been piqued.
Milan explodes from out of the floor. Hello.
Stop screaming. Immediately interested again.
Hey,
I don't
buddy.
even think you had a chance to start screaming. It was just halfway downstairs. Hold on, someone said census. I'm needed.
Government.
Collecting data.
I like data.
What are we doing, anyways? We should go do something.
We're okay. Where do you want to go?
Adventure.
Oh, wait!
It always does, but we probably need to. We need to talk after that whole thing.
Which
whole
one?
thing?
The thing with Ruby Gauntlet. That dude we just talked to X hours ago.
Yes, one moment.
Do we have to talk about that?
So we put him on the box. In the box.
Walks below deck, comes back out with pillow. Don't mind me.
I mean, it's simple. We put him in the box. If he misbehaves, we make the box smaller until it crushes him.
It's a nice dream, but if Ruby resists, that's going to cause a lot of explosions, a lot of death. I don't want this to be a situation hanging over all of our heads for forever.
Hey, someone go get the old man. We need the EMP specialist or
I thought the old man was right here.
I am right here.
what? How long have you been there?
The old man has just been
Long
behind
enough.
gang the entire time.
So what are the principles of the idea you have to make the box?
Well, you see, I don't. That's
So
not
you-
any different from how I normally work, so don't worry about it.
So are you lying, or do you have a hunch?
Yang, do you think I know how my own magic works?
Fucking. I hope, but
But
I
it
know
worked.
you don't.
But it works, doesn't it?
Gang, I'm not entirely sure how my moves work.
Okay, I'm done screaming internally. Anyways,
Would
We've
you
already
like my
seen that what
pillow?
the old man suggests is not impossible. We've heard of one force which has successfully intervened. Now, if the old man is capable of designing some manner of working comparable in ability to the idol influence of the lunar essence, shrug.
look, can we do Operation Gay Baby Jail or not? Is it possible?
I think so.
So, do we just throw him in there? Or,
That
I'm fine with that.
would be the more difficult aspect of this. Finding any proper assurance that the Gauntlet intends to comply with the terms of this agreement.
He probably doesn't.
We have that he was willing to say such things while under threat of explosion.
Yeah, he could have just talking his ass off, getting out of it. Well, he could have left at any time, so I don't fucking know, man.
You think Son knows?
Maybe. Sib would probably know. Or at least confirm.
You could ask Sun, and I just point up towards the crow's nest.
All right.
Much of that is next year's problem.
Give me just a second. Oh. There is a kind of odd noise as two things happen at once. First of all, Milan notices that Moat is no longer at their heels. And second, there is a sudden kind of flurry and loud, abrupt squawk from way up in the crow's nest.
Bird was up.
Bird up.
Bird up.
The worst exaltant history.
I think Moat's eating Sun Gungun.
With a surprising, well, perhaps not surprising, a lack of grace befitting of being woken up in the middle of a nap by having the tail feathers bitten. A Rhyton tumbles down out of the crow's nest, gliding to break the fall, and just kind of collapses down next to Repose.
Bird up.
Anyone who is particularly investigating the Rhyton may roll me attribute survival.
No.
Yeah, sure. I'll just go over there and poke him.
Navigate.
Yeah, it
advance.
navigates.
Oh wait, I
Wait.
have navigate now. Great.
Oh, is navigate survival? Navigate survival.
Yes.
I'll do finesse navigate. To poke him with a stick?
This is like a cursory glance over of, they're fine.
Hmm?
Okay, Malone and Repose don't match it. Ankler notices very vaguely that the Rhyton seems very discombobulated and just kind of out of sorts. Yang instantly recognizes that that's not the level of very calm, watchful intelligence Yang's been used to for Guan watching through Bird. That's just Bird. You were looking at Bird. Bird is very confused. Bird wants to know why Bird's tail just got bit. Please
Hey,
help
that's
Bird.
a bird.
Repose is
just a
very
regular
accustomed to filtering out birds being thrown around.
Yeah, that's just a bird, dude.
Actually, with that many threshold successes, You can tell by the eyes. Yeah, with that many threshold successes, you can tell by the eyes. It's that same color of eyes and that same slits of Guan's tail, but the carriage of the body and the way that it's looking around is just bird. Is bird.
Are we out of his signal range?
Sniff at Repose, smells like cat, frightened. Sniff at Yang, unsure? Stares up.
I'm gonna I'm gonna extend my finger out for a perch.
Well, it's like a Archaeopteryx slash other proto.
It's more of a
so it's like
forearm for perch.
Yeah,
forearm for perch then.
Just kind of hops up on your forearm. It's the size of a somewhere between chicken and large duck in terms of size.
Just kind of alarming.
Kind of hops on and head bobs, kind of looking at you, trying as much as you feel like you are to figure out what is going on.
Maybe he left.
Did he just do that?
Repose will just kind of walk straight up the mast.
Aside from this, the bit of tail feather that got yanked out by Moat, there's no signs of leaving or settling. Actually, if anything, there is a bit of a nest that has been started to be built out of stray detritus from the docks and bits of fluff and other things. And Repose would actually recognize that it's some rope fiber. Like it has been kind of pecking at the ropes around the crow's nest and pulling out a little bit of the fibers and net lining the nest with them.
Hey, Onyx.
Yes?
Is Sun here present on the boat?
I believe he is on Yang's arm.
Huh.
Tilts the head.
Is that good?
Well,
it appears that he is in a state where there is a kind of pause. I don't... There's a kind of a sweep across all of you before Angler kind of feels Onyx pause over the mental state and leans in. Of the Hearth, you are the one who is most aware of the state of Guan's unique situation.
Yes. I understand what's going on.
Yes, please explain this in a manner that your Hearthmates would understand. He is currently having most of the parts that you have interfaced with rest behind, well, and there's just this mental feeling of looking over at Bird as it kind of
is he in Congress?
Pokes snout on nose, like pokes snout on arm of Yang, just kind of like, what is this?
You remember when we saw all those different parts of Guan talking to each other when we came up that one time, and they all turned into birds and flocked away? It's a thing that happened. He's in a rest state right now, so bird is bird until Guan comes back into consciousness.
All right.
He's taking a nap. Okay.
As long as he's not dead.
I don't think it's a good idea for that bird to be eaten, though.
Well, yeah. In fact, I'm gonna...
Oh, that wasn't you. That was
on?
Moat. I'm just looking over at Moat when I'm saying that.
Moat actually looks completely calm.
Repose has been up there, like, painting a little stripe around the nest and sprinkling a little bit of miscellaneous dust on the strip of paint and looking firmly at Moat.
Moat kind of flicks a tail and, like, there is the sensation of, because familiar, you're able to understand the body language of, well, you had to figure this out somehow.
I'm gonna give a worm to the right, Tom.
It is sniffed at and then chomped, and then there is a kind of croaking chirp that comes out, but a nod, and then a kind of hop down now that there has been some level of safety established around at least the tall, strange clown man, and then another kind of look around at the people on the deck, including the crew. And then the glitteriness of the light-off old man catches Raiton's attention very quickly, and it kind of trots over and looks up and is just utterly transfixed of like, what? Huh? Shiny object person. What? What?
Once Guan gets their stuff in order, I have a lot. I've got some stuff to rub into their face.
Yeah, you can rub it in this bird's face if you want.
Oh no, that wouldn't work.
There is a very slow, careful opening of the mouth and extending of the neck to not bite, but just kind of probingly kind of mouth one of Old Man's coppered legs as to like, what is this?
Still
food?
missing a toe.
Yeah. And then just kind of teeth bonk off. Okay, not food. Shiny
Not
object.
food.
Nest object? No, too big, too heavy. Results inconclusive. Confusing. Leave. Goes over to Angler and looks up. And Angler, roll me again, specifically you again with a stunt. Finesse Navigate.
Six.
It recognizes you. Like the bird consciousness recognizes you. There's a stop of just like, wait, hold up. How am I looking at you? How are you me? I didn't do that. Did we do that? There's this flicker of more complicated emotions across the body and eyes of it. It's just, hold on, wait. What? Bird. Confused bird. Still,
I'll let the bird. I'll put my arm down to let the bird climb on, and then just kind of let it go up onto the shoulder or whatever. And just let it do its thing. If it wants to peck at him a little bit, he'll put up with it. But just gonna give the bird a safe perch for it to be for a bit.
it just kind of nestles down with the feathers puffed out, and suddenly looks very broody. Like it's very defensively just kind of hunkering down on you and giving the side eye to anyone who's getting too close to you now.
Bird likes you.
Yeah, Angler's gonna kind of let this sit for a little bit and just. I'm gonna have to have a conversation later. Okay.
Stepping away a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he hems and haws for a couple of seconds on this, and then just kind of hesitates. Okay, Onyx, is it okay if we ask how the general conversation you had with Guan went? Like, I don't want specifics, but was Guan in a decent enough shape when you finished conversing?
There is a pause, and I'm going to have you roll.
Like, he's not trying to stress. He's really trying to be as polite as possible about this.
Yeah, this is not a stress situation. This is a. I don't know if I want to make you roll or if I want to see how Onyx rolls to see if Onyx is comfortable, because this is a matter of Onyx is torn and it wants to talk but also doesn't. So, just thinking of. We were able to communicate at an accelerated pace due to the ability of our own communication patterns internally being able to be quicker and less tied to direct verbosity. There was a lot of catching up for both of us, and there was a lot of weight I believe that he will be okay in time. But there's just trailing off trying to think of how to say something moment.
I understand what you're trying to say, and thank you for the discretion of it. When they get better, they'll get better. We'll worry about that when Guan wants to talk. But for right now, I'm going to keep an eye on Guan's bird. Nope, there's no way I can describe that. That's not weird in my head.
There's some kind of pause. Oh dear. I believe I should inform you that it is very likely that Sybil will be arriving within a few hours at most, because it is very likely that she has detected this happen.
Ah.
This is something you may want to inform the Hearth of.
Actually, I'm going to take that back. Angler's immediate response to that, Sybil's coming? And he says that out loud. Oh, boy. We have a Sybil arriving in the next check's son, 3 to 4 hours.
Oh, good. She can check my blueprints.
What blueprints?
I'm doing a thing. I don't even know how to describe it, honestly.
Okay. If that's the case, we should at least be ready for her in that regard. Oh boy. If you have anything you need to go over with, oh, I didn't want to spar with her now. I'm not ready. All right. Well, we'll just have to see what happens when she gets here. But I don't think we should try to move the ship or anything until she arrives.
You're awfully squirrely. Did you kill someone?
Not yet.
Do you need help killing someone?
No, I'm still a little agitated over how that meeting with Ruby went. And I want to talk about that, but if she is arriving, and that means Sun's not in good shape, and I don't know if we can get through the whole conversation before she gets here.
Go take a nap.
Meanwhile, Up Top Propose has been playfully going through the motions of abjuring and casting Moat out of what is now bird space. Drawing the various signs to confuse cats.
Cat bafflement signs.
Mode is just very languidly going along with it, like, fine if I have to.
And then just scoop him up, put him in place, walk back down mast.
And is there any other things like Yang's roles, discussions of Tyrant, any other things you would want to have up before Sybil shows up?
Yeah, even though he's a little distracted, Angler is definitely going to want to talk to Milan, since Milan brought the pillow up. That's a red flag.
Okay. So probably over in the captain's quarters or below him.
I think particularly if we are now going to have this happen, we leave town tonight. We get boat in motion and...
Yeah.
Alright, I'll go help him load it up.
Like, Angler did mention probably best to not move the boat, but also Repose could pretty much immediately counterpoint via occult score of, doesn't really matter if we move the boat, she probably is homing in on whatever sense she has of where Guan is, right? They almost certainly have that set up.
Fair enough.
Propose will cast handful of breadcrumbs at Bird.
Appreciative, looking at him, eyeball side up, pecking, more squawk than chirp, and then goes back around, kind of patrolling the area to figure out where the hell am I? I woke up here.
Just bird things.
So, going along?
Mm-hmm.
Right, music, right? Up.
All right, so pretty much as soon as Milan walks into captain's quarters or something, or heads, Angler's gonna saunter in and afterwards and go, okay, I know that look. That's the look of you're gonna do something. And sometimes when that happens, it's a great thing, and sometimes when that happens, you send a message to somebody, and it doesn't end up well for us. So what's going on? I need to see what's happening here.
Hmm. Don't like to admit it, but I saw a bit of me in Ruby Tyrant, and I don't like that.
What bit?
He's trying to find the better way for him to deal with the voices in his head, but to him that's the best thing to do, but to everyone else it's not. It's horrendous. It's awful.
Are you worried you're going to turn up like him?
I mean, who knows what could happen? That dream I had recently of me wanting to destroy the Empress and the realm and everything.
Do you want to?
At this point, I don't know what I want. Part of me securing that part of the Ginzoder's doubt is part of me just wants to walk away from the realm.
What would you do if you did walk away?
Probably make a new home for myself and any of my family who could get out. But not everyone will get out, and it's not just my blood family, the people I work with, the people I care about in the realm. I don't know if I need to fight what's happening in the realm or just walk away.
Milan, I tried to do the walk away idea. I tried to get my people out. I got my family out, but the more and more I look back, I regret not sticking around and see if I can get more people out to do more for the Empire, to fix the wrongs, but that's not my skill set. That's not what I'm good at. That's what you're good at. Every one of us is dangerous in our own ways, but in many ways, you're the most dangerous of all of us. If any of us went against the realm, they'd bring an army to crush us. If you went against the realm, you'd have an army to crush them. I don't think it's right. No, that's the wrong way. I don't think you realize how much sway you have. And I think you should use that sway to help those people who don't see they need the help in the realm.
You're right. It's... I think this is what Tyrant needed. But he never got it. Just another voice.
Tyrant has too many voices, always, constantly. And I don't know, I need to talk with Repose about this because I don't understand exactly what is going with Tyrant.
Looks at Repose right behind you.
Fuck.
Angler, if I ever get like he is, don't hesitate to throw me in a box.
That's the last option, but yes, I'll do it if I need to. I don't want to say you could never end up that way, but there's no way you wouldn't have your own safety net with you. You just draw people. That's just who you are.
Oh, jeez. Same sheepish look. Sheepish look.
Warsh.
But I'm not really worried about how do I even say this? I'm not as worried about Ruby Gauntlet as I am worried about the other two, purple and green.
I don't remember much from my fight with Purple, but there's this feeling in my gut of if I ever saw him again, I want to hurt him.
I think we all do. The problem is, Ruby's competent. The other two think they're competent, which makes them dangerous because they're going to try to do something to get vindictive revenge against one of us. And the problem for that is a lot of us don't have family in the area, and I do. So I don't know what to do about purple and green except try to hunt them down now. I don't want to leave and go. I don't want to stop doing whatever we're doing with Ruby, but I can't just leave those two out there.
We need to make the next move.
Where? I mean, there's so many different places we can go. I don't know where to go. Part of me just wants to go to the guild and just burn it to the ground and see if I can get enough of their attention to come see us, but I don't know if that's the right move.
Brain is thinking.
Now, you were saying all manner of disordered, but otherwise individually sensible and healthy things to have on your mind in a situation such as ours, and then you went to burning.
Is there something wrong? Or what better? Okay, clean them out? What would you like me to say?
It seemed against the current of the usual manner of things. You don't burn things.
I know, it's just I want to get their attention before they plan something. Before they have another set piece they're going to try to use against us, before they go elsewhere to get revenge. I want to pull their attention to us. That's the first thing that popped in my head. I know we can't actually burn down the guild, but something. I want to pull their attention to us.
Meanwhile, Obsidian on the other side of the boat. So what if we burn down the guild?
Yeah, see, it makes sense when Obsidian says that.
Yeah, while drawing out his blueprints, hey, I should really burn down the guild before I do this.
We should burn down the... Why haven't we burned down the guild yet?
Repose, I have a question about the underworld. How much do you know of the geography or perhaps even the infrastructure of down there?
Well, let's put some dice to that and do
You would just have a
quick
stunt on that because
sagacity roll. I'll save that stunt die for later.
Okay. This is a base difficulty 3 to get anything with. Well, that's not. Repose would know. Repose was okay. What I would
so
say,
like, in contest here would be how useful and pertinent it could be about anything
like,
specific.
you know,
So, like, general outline is that it's kind of Dark Souls rules down there. It is the land primarily shaped by what is remembered. It is more fluid. It is more malleable. It is more prone to drift. It is, at its most concrete, in places that correspond with places that are still alive and populous and active.
At this point, Milan has brought out his roadmap. Something I remember from that play earlier. One of the kids was talking about they would follow the roads. What do the roads look like in the underworld?
Oh, you want to know about the underroads, huh?
Because they had to move those war striders somewhere, and they had to follow a road. You can't just carry a war strider through the brush.
There have to be some combination, some point between as they are now and as they were 20, 30 waving of hands years ago.
I've got an idea. You said the underworld is more remembered in its geography of how things were. Let's get a bit philosophical and historical. I need you to list out every major settlement throughout history that you can think of in this local area.
Oh, that's a lot.
We're gonna build a roadmap of the underworld.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna throw this out here.
That sounds like that's the thing old man knows.
Milan already has that.
Yeah.
Yep, I know. I was waiting for someone to point that out.
You
Also,
have
old
that.
man's
Old
right
man
there.
gave it to you already.
Didn't the
Oh,
old
yeah,
man
old man's
give
right
you
there.
those?
I was leaving that open and deliberate for someone to point it out.
Well, thankfully I can't read, so.
So yes,
dying.
what I was getting at was I was going to cross-reference the notes Old Man gave me with the map to create a layout of, okay, what's the historical infrastructure of the history of this area, specifically starting in Gonzoda, because they had to move from Gonzoda to somewhere.
All right.
Some kind of investigative venture.
I don't think it's a venture because there's a quick conclusion one can come to.
All right.
I'm going to say, roll. I want both Old Man and Old Man roll me attribute plus navigate, and then Milan take the successes on that as an assist to your roll of an attribute plus navigate.
Okay.
So you want me to do my dice here?
Yes, you are. One of you would be the primary actor, and I think that's Milan. And that would be yeah. So you do your dice. This is either
I guess this would be like more like a how accurate my notes were kind of thing.
This is either Old Man actively intruding on the conversation or to represent how good your notes are at documenting this.
He would not have intruded on this, so just how accurate his notes were.
Pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate, but not outstandingly. He kept good notes on it. But he also never he could never get a bird's eye view of the area or anything like that. So his cartography is not the best.
And in terms of timeline, there's probably sizable gaps from expanses where he was in isolation, and so he wasn't keeping track of what happened.
On top of that, this is also 40 years over time. It's notes at the start and notes later are contradictory and not super accurate to each other, sort of thing. Things changed over time, and then sometimes oh wait, this is old information that isn't super accurate anymore, and so on and so forth.
Let's see. Probably routed this through the shaded woods. He wouldn't have gone down into Blight Town.
So, as Milan is tracing the succession of roads over the past roughly century for good details, and then more recently for better detail, and then vague ones beyond that, something starts to emerge is that, yes, there's the natural desire trails back around, and I'll just switch over to the map of Kingdoms for an illustrative moment. So, yeah, there are the roads that are going around settlements, desire ways, following things, going to places. But first thing you notice, as is natural for a lot of road building throughout histories and eras, is that a lot of it follows the landscape. And, like, you know, it goes around the swamp, or it cuts a straight path, or it goes up the quick way. And when there isn't a natural terrain feature to follow, when there isn't any wiggle or anything along those ways, it's a straight shot because that's an artificial road that you built. And when there is a naturally occurring, or, you know, semi-natural in the case of the Flying River, it tends to follow along with that. And that reminds you of one of the things that you learned in your Imperial education, is that roads are, in a sense, the blood vessels of any society. They are what carry things around. They carry the life around. They are what carries energy and life from one node to another. And it is therefore not coincidental that if you are in an unfamiliar area and you are trying to find the dragon lines of the area, look for the oldest roads. And in vice versa, when you find the dragon lines, you find the roads, because that's where life is going. That's where things are being moved. And then two things smack you at once. One, hey, directly down south here is the Four Winds Throne. That is a geomantic nexus of dragging a bunch of dragon lines locally into it to store power. So it is a giant node in the web of dragon lines, in the web of movement essence around, which is its own effective road network. Number two, that would make it the oldest and most remembered network of connections in the region, which would echo down. The most prominent road networks in the underworld probably have nothing to do with modern roads. They're following dragon lines. They're following the roads that the world has.
Ooh, and guess what I have a map of?
Yep.
Pull out the map that was previously called teleportation chart.
So you whip that out, and you overlay it on, like, this is probably now 3 layers of map that are being put on top of each other and have a light shown through, or side by side to cross-reference. And a couple of things strike you at first is that, if you are caring about modern settlements, yeah, the dragon lines are a kind of efficient way of getting around. They kind of are close to most local areas. They go by them. They'll be here and there. But if you were viewing them as a network of roads and assuming, okay, at this node there would be probably some sort of settlement in the underworld or in human history, and then here there would be, and then there would be one for here for the living network, an emergent picture begins to show of the likely population of the underworld below. And one thing that strikes you is that, much like river valleys draining into becoming a larger river that drains into the sea, you can see the pattern of dragon lines that flow naturally to where the Four Winds Throne is, and how there isn't all that much direct terraforming to get it in there, or if it was so long ago that it has settled into a more naturalistic-looking shape. And, hey, Tyrant mentioned that one of their original plans was relying on using the dragon lines to infest the Four Winds Throne with the corrupted spirits of the blighted elementals. That means you just trace it upriver to whatever source font that they are using, and you are likely going to find their underworld base of operations. And quite likely, if you find a set of dragon lines that looks weird enough in either creation or the underworld, or starts going wildly off expectations, you know that there's a geomantic death ward involved. All you have to do is start comparing your notes to what you actually see if you ever go down there, and you'll probably have a direct route to wherever the operational base the Weaver is using is perched.
Who wants to go on a road trip?
And then Sybil lands on the boat.
One thing at a time.
So yeah, the game plan for this is to go upriver of a dragon line and find where it starts to get weird.
Yes. And not even necessarily have to prospect that yourself. After all, have connections to the people who live down there and can give you more accurate records without you doing the entire surveying yourself.
Yep.
So, yeah, with that revelation, there could be more talk about that and other things that would be waiting. Otherwise, I can transfer forward in time.
Well,
So
that plan will be passed along in the evening's prayers.
All right.
I have no other business.
Stepping away.
Angler's good.
Oh, well, I had a spiritual question,
Sure.
but the spiritual man just left.
I mean, there's also Old Man, and then there's people that you might get something out of.
Okay.
If you wanted to.
Obsidian would be looking at the map of like, okay, so with Milan being alright, so like if the ley line, probably the base is here, and be like, hey Milan, is the base in the underworld?
Depending on where they've set up, it could be here, there, or both.
So if it's in the underworld, how do you plan on getting to it?
Points at all of the openings to the underworld, such as the one we went to very early on.
Did we go in the underworld?
That's where we first met Tyrant.
He pulled us into the underworld, though.
Well, we were walking into one of those areas to meet up with one of Raposa's contacts.
I see.
Never showed up.
Whatever happened to that guy?
That's a good question.
Mega Man.
Rip, old man.
Yeah, just to give notice for everybody else, Doc's power has just been knocked out due to the windstorms in the region.
Dang. It finally happened.
Yeah.
Should get better power lines. That is a joke. I should not have
Blame
made.
Boston for that one.
I would say yes, a lot of infrastructure should be upgraded.
Yes.
I think society should be made so much better.
Stares at PG&E.
Excuse me. Something forcibly jumped down my throat.
It's alright. Take care of yourself. And yeah, I'm just waiting for a moment for... Okay. So yeah, it's possible but unlikely that Doc will be back before the end of the usual end. I was waiting for Loon to come back.
Yes.
Okay, so, yeah, Windstorm countdown.
You hate to see it.
So I think I will continue going forward as usual. Might end a little earlier than the usual, depending on that. But yeah,
Old man picked up by sudden hurricane and thrown off of the boat.
yeah, is hurled into space by sudden winds. Will come back unexplained by any of it. I was actually kind of hoping he'd be right. This part. Oh,
Good. I'd go get. No. Okay. Never mind.
Yeah. In
Drag
practice,
off
Old
to the
Man
Old
will
Man
actually be
dimension.
present and seen, but... So,
A way to do this is that we could have this scene and then maybe have Old Man before the end of the scene have Old Man add his 2 cents at the end of it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
A la Tyrant.
Yeah. Okay, so just trying to think of what musical cue to actually cue up next for this bit.
That's right, it's Gabron's theme. I don't know why my brain went to Gabron.
I don't know either, but it was
He's
very
cool
fun.
dude. That's why.
Okay, so it is getting into late evening, the start of the night now. You have sailed away from Grey Falls, downriver, as a general precautionary method, which turns out to have been wise, as right around when the moon is starting to rise and Grey Falls is well out of vision, there is that hair on the back of your neck feeling you had in the canyon of the cliff back when Sybil and Guan first tipped their hand. And right as you are kind of acclimatizing to, here it comes, and there is a sudden flash of light and clap of noise. Not enough to be, knock you over, especially with the kind of advanced warning. The crew is kind of like, what the hell? But there is a sudden blast of noise and light as Sybil just appears on the deck. And contrary to her usual expression of just kind of being carefree and lackadaisical about things, she is completely fixated. Her eyes are scanning around. They look past all of you until she sees the Raiton perched up on top of the boat near the wheel and just walks past all of you immediately up to him and kneels down, extending a hand out. As the Raiton tilts head and looks forward, sniff, blink, and bumps head against her as she just goes from that tense preparedness to relaxation. I'm here, Songbird. It's okay. It's okay, I'm here. She just very gently takes the Raiton into her arms, cradling it as she stands up, as the Raiton just kind of nuzzles up into her chest and turns around to regard the rest of you. Sorry I didn't stop with the pleasantries, I just had to make sure that, all was alright. Well, now that I'm here, hello! Sorry for the brief and abrupt introduction, but I hope you've all been doing well.
Hi! Can I have my pillow back?
She kind of glances back down to the pillow the Raiton had been perching. Oh, that's yours? Yeah, sure, but yeah, fine.
Angler grabs that pillow from Milan. Not yet. No screaming.
I was going to go throw it in the laundry.
Screaming? She says, looking genuinely a little confused.
It's been a day.
She looks down at Guan. I mean, it's certainly clear that it has been in one sense or another. What have you been up to when I've been gone anyway?
Yeah,
you know.
Kicks open a trapdoor. Oh, good, you're here. Hey, I figured out how to solve the Neverborn.
You what? What have you been up to? Hold on!
Well, I have an idea how to solve it anyways.
There's a sudden disappearance of mirth from her face as it gets very solid. Does this have anything to do with this? She says, pointing at the Raiton, still just kind of nuzzling up and squawking.
Oh no, I have no fucking clue what's going on there. This is really unrelated,
Weirdly enough, that's unrelated.
Okay, good.
You're standing on... Never mind. We'll get to that later.
You stand. There's a sudden pause as the rest of you can very visibly tell that she is suddenly hearing something. Oh! Oh, wow, this went places I didn't expect. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Alright. Wow, that's not what I thought that was.
Small creation.
Good to hear from you two again, I guess. I don't have the same connection that you, and she gestures to Bird and then into Air. Yeah, no, Yeah, so you were the one who... Oh, and then you and he... Oh, babe. Oh, no wonder. Oh, no. Yeah, just take your time, okay? I know you can probably hear. Just take the time you need, okay?
Takes the pillow back from Milan and puts the Raiton on the pillow.
I mean, Angler. Oh, she takes it from Milan. Sorry,
Yeah,
never mind.
she takes it from
I
Milan.
say you're Milan. You can't take it from your what? No.
She just kind of shakes her head at that, as just kind of propping up the Raiton to let head rest on shoulder. Okay, now back to why the hell are you talking about the Neverborn? Like, you understand what you're going to do with them?
Kill chaos.
Honestly, I missed a lot.
So Ruby got with Tyler and did the whole narcissistic thing at us, and we got him to talk. I hate this, but he does have a legitimate problem that no one solved.
Oh, so you probably got a face look at what he's gotten in his head, if he's got what I think is going on in there.
Yeah, he got turned off for a second and went into sicko mode.
Oh, wait, hold on. They did what? Like, they actually grabbed him by the... Oh, wow, he's got it bad. That's usually... Well,
Yeah,
I say usually ghosts, but I guess he's in a new situation. I don't know how common it is with them. Well, either way, that's the first time I've heard of that happening, and wow. Does a quick head count, and you're all alive, and looks at Repose. Only one of you is scarred. Good job!
Yeah, I'm internalizing it as a public works project to solve a problem with... I'll give you the sales pitch later. We're all fine, don't worry.
No, like, I really gotta dial that back. You fought him in, like, obviously combat, she says, gesturing to Repose's sternum, and you got a solid punch in on him as he was being piloted by, like, the Void, capital letters, and you're still here. Damn, you're all coming along faster than I thought you would.
He reasserted himself, and we achieved a détente for the meantime.
We were in a microcosm of reactive components, yes.
Cosm of reactive.
Yeah, Four Winds Throne.
You were... Oh! Wow! Wow, you've had a day, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and then
what I'm
like,
saying. Yes.
and then that gesturing to Guan, and then I was like, "Oh no, did I give him poisoning?"
No. You were right. He just needs a little time. Normally I'd be asking him to break out the alcohol. Do I have any on me right now? Hang on. She just kind of is patting down her pockets and her traveling pouches. Yeah, here we go. Looks over at the rest of you. Do you all want a drink? And if so, how strong? And kind of eye lingers on Repose at that for a moment.
Repose is not engaging with this.
Milan's gonna look at Angler and then shake the head. No, I'll be fine.
I think we should have a drink.
Repose was kind of on standby to clarify if Yang, like, critically tripped over his words and didn't get the point across.
Actually, hold on a sec. We're on a trading vessel. Hey, Obsidian.
What's up?
Where's the booze?
Tosses you a jar.
Okay, that's stage. Looks over at Sybil. That's like step one for her. We're gonna need at least.
No, don't worry
more.
about me. I'm more worried about you all. If you needed to, well, I won't say more than that. More importantly, as she kind of sits down now on the stairway, one hand idly stroking down the neck of the Raiton in her shoulder. So, I'm curious now, what is your thought process about the Neverborn, Yang?
The entire thing, this entirety came to you when Repose referred to them as the first of the dead. The problem is they're dead, right? And they're just stuck there and they can't go anywhere, and they're shouting about it. They're very clearly angry because they've made a super narcissist who's a super villain.
I mean, she kind of sticks out a hand and wobbles. I'm still not sure how much agency they have in all this going on. Like, they don't really do things. They just, like, they're there. They just kind of sit there. They have been for this.
At least exaggerate the qualities of a narcissistic supervillain.
Fair point.
Also, I kind of care more about them than Ruby at this point. I know I'm punching way the fuck above my weight class.
Yeah, I will just give you a heads up right now. This is above what I could do. Like, maybe if I use my entire life force and my lifespan and I burn myself on this problem, I might get some sort of shove done. But that's hypothetical. I haven't even thought about touching this yet. That's why I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. Because
it's hypothetical, right? What if there was just some vault that had the life work of someone who just spent his entire, life preparing step one of fix the goddamn problem, where we have a bunch of small scale things and then we just kind of see how to do it there. And the best model I have so far is it's like a lightning rod but incredibly slowly.
So like drip feeding them bits and pieces of the world slower than it is actually. She kind of stops and like puts a hand up to her lip with like one finger curled up, and then is like counting invisible, like kind of moving her hand to count invisibly in the air by kind of bouncing a finger up and around, like either shifting an abacus or pointing to a ledger. I mean, like, would that really solve anything though? Would that get rid of it?
Well, the problem is just like
calcify them. I don't know. This is not
one
fair.
idea. If they're stuck, that's one thing. If they're calcified, that's another thing. If they just need to push, that's a different thing, right? Which is why the shotgun method is, because I'm not gonna live long enough to get the results to actually have any. Like, who knows if the next guy ever is gonna live long enough? But if it's there, maybe someone will get off their ass to do something about it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there were some old ruins of people who had the same idea as you that you might want to go plunder around, but I'm not.
Oh, yeah, it's a good idea. Step forward would be go see if anyone else is at the same thought process and then codify this.
Yeah, no, this is, I'll be frank, this is something I've never really thought about before. It's not exactly what I've been dedicating my life to, but it's certainly one of the big problems that does need addressing, especially now that they can apparently throw out people like Tyrant. That certainly made them go from a problem that most people, aside from your brother here, don't really pay attention to on this side of things, to a rather more imminent problem.
Also, it just kind of bugs me when there's people asking for help and no one listens.
That gets a grimace on her face and a nod.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You're not wrong.
Obsidian leans in closer to Yang. Good. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That actually, like, visibly sobers her from her kind of academic discussion of this down into thinking about just like, yeah. Yeah, She looks up at the sky briefly, at towards the west where the sun had set. I got complicated feelings on the matter, but what I feel about it doesn't really make much of a difference now, does it?
Well, it's not gonna make, like, how I feel about it probably won't matter that much in the first place. It's just,
that is a hell of a lot more than me, I'll tell you that.
yeah, I can at least frame it a certain way. Who knows if they did something to go there in the first place, but even then, like, there has to be a ceiling to that, nothing can be endless suffering. That's just it's a bit much.
Yeah. She gives the bird a bit of a hug and a squeeze before thinking again. So you said that he was in the forward. What was he doing there? He kind of looks around to the rest as well.
Oh, right.
Doom.
The shitty rat man. Right. He was there.
Right. Then her eyes kind of go again from kind of concerned and pensive to maybe the most dangerous you've ever seen her look. Hold on. You mean the demon one, the letter writer, right?
Yes.
You saw him. You found him.
Yes.
He
shot
was
him.
in Great Falls.
He got an arrow through the lungs.
Good.
Yeah, they were allied.
Not anymore.
Oh wait, did he do a backstab?
Oh, yes.
Oh, self-destructive fucking idiot. I hope that he would do that.
There was a reason we got into a fight with Ruby Tyrant, and he did not immediately leave.
Oh, that complicates and simplifies things at the same time, don't it? Now, this is very important. While you were down there, what did he do? What did you see him do? What did he say?
Ratman
She nods.
looks at the rest of the crew. Nothing?
He was... Well, I know what Tyrant was doing, but I think he was just down there to create problems. They were trying to...
Rat was probably trying to do something, but when we got there, he immediately stopped whatever he was doing and ran. That's about it.
So, Repose, who has been situated up against the mast, just kind of being quiet and brooding, and, you know. He still does not like Sybil, personally, but...
Yeah, that's
once
why
it's gotten
she's
to
not
the
really
important subject of passing along the news, Repose gets settled into place, you know, puts down the altar, likes a couple of things, and then produces marionettes from storage, and then proceeds to reenact the exact events by way of eidetic memory.
She looks
in puppet show.
like briefly confused, then very impressed, and then extremely attentive.
We will just provide replay of events because we have two people who have bought the mechanical advantage of perfect recall, so we can just do playbacks of things we saw happen.
Yeah, I think it's basically a stagehand. So if you go out script, you can just be like, no. He's a real turd, huh?
It's like she is actually so intensely focused on watching that at first almost so briefly and dimly that you can't see it, but then enough to really establish it, the Dawncast sign shows up on her forehead as she is so intensely in thought that her essence is flowing through her body and making her cast sign show. Okay, well, that confirms a couple of things in my mind. Number one, that whatever power he has gotten through not just a pact with the Ebon Dragon, but at least one other one. I will spare names and mentionings of blasphemies and also not being entirely sure yet. But that is not only the remit of the dragon. That is multi-functioning. If he was just the dragon, he wouldn't have ran quite like that. He probably would have just turned into shadows and bats and flew away or something, or just gotten weird about it. He wouldn't have tried to just run on his feet. Which means that he has multiple angles of attack, but he's also not... He's not an Akuma. He's not a demon. He's not possessed. He had more latitude than that. Which means that it's probably what I'm afraid of. But that also opens up another opportunity set, because that means that he's got actionable weaknesses and he's got predictable patterns, especially if he's so closely aligned with the Yozi that he's going to be following their personal predilections. Is beginning to mutter to herself as she is deeply just kind of action replaying in her head and doing analysis. Alright, good news, bad news time. And, it's kind of the same piece of information on both sides for you, she says, gesturing over to Repose. Because the good news and the bad news is that you get to beat the shit out of a solar exaltation.
What?
Claps her hands together. So, this has been my working hypothesis for a little while, and after your stories about Tyrant, and hearing about this in particular, I'm pretty sure that I've got it right. Hands, cards on the table. I have no idea why I was one of the only ones to come back. Period. None. I don't have any of the memories like my husband does. All that's to the blank. I got nothing. Whatever happened in the period between it leaving the body of whoever it was last time and it coming into mine, white plate. which also means that I don't know where any of the other ones went. If I don't know if they had some sort of caucus where they all decided to get together and be bastards and mine flew off, or vice versa, or they all got stuffed in a tiny box somewhere, or maybe they went up into heaven and, you know, Boss decided to bring out the rest of them. But there was clearly some interruption in the natural flow of how the shard should be going. Because, gestures again to Ron, if it was a natural consequence of the overthrow of the First Age, that the rulers of the First Age wouldn't be coming back, why are they still around? Why would the moon still be around? How would they be... Yeah, I mean, no, I know cheating is their thing, but, like, killing the gods was ours. It's clearly something happened either of our own volition, of some jackass's volition beforehand with some contingency plan, or the gods, or, you know, the OZ, the Underworld, who knows? Something or someone stepped in to stop our shards from coming back. Somebody interrupted the recall function. Don't know how, don't know why, but I can tell you now, from the descriptions you've given me of the jackass that you beat up with the skull helmet, and Tyrant, and how he's been interacting with Bismuth, and now this asshole, something got a hold of the Shards of Exaltation and screwed with them. This is something that I had been putting off the idea of having happen for a while because I didn't think that was possible. I mean, like, there's something that you would put really high on the list of things that I don't think you can do. It is messing with the Unconquered Sun's personal stuff. But, I mean, you have a midnight sun on someone's forehead. You have somebody channeling green fire from the green sun and having something else on their forehead from a distance. I mean, that kind of narrows the list down a little bit of where this could be coming from. It's either that they grabbed some of the originals, or like the Yozi and the Neverborn somehow at the same time, either parallel or in concert, just happened 5-ish years ago, or maybe longer, who knows, to come up with the same idea at the same time and replicate something that no one else has done since the Primordials were still alive. So, again, short version, bad news. You're fighting what I can only describe as even more irresponsible and evil versions of what I've got in me. Good news. That means that you get to have a lot of your frustrations taken out on them, she says, pointing finger guns at Repose.
There is complete silence. There is not even like ambient vibration emanating out of Repose right now. There is a lack of vibration in like all whole material around him.
She gives a light shrug.
Normal boat noises are muted.
She gives a light shrug at that, but looks over to the rest of the crew for their reactions at that.
Do you know, since they used to be chosen from the sun, what he can do? Like, you said that your points to her symbol. That means that you have something special about you. Do you know what his special thing is?
Well, this is entirely hypothetical, because this would be entirely based on, one, I'm correct, which, I mean, I don't have a particularly fantastic track record about that. I would say I'm over par, but this is certainly something that I would like to be wrong about. But, number two, if I am right, and this is following the same logic, and this is the same symbology on their foreheads, only Tyrant you've described so well. Tyrant and the Jackass. Jackass had one that looks like this, right? She points to her forehead with the Dawncast, which is a circle surrounded by radiant sunbursts. And you can confirm that Rancorous Dirge had a version that looked kind of like that, except it was blood and like scar tissue on the helmet.
Aye.
Right, okay, that reinforces the theory then. So you said that Tyrant has a perfectly circular black disc, right?
Yes.
I believe so.
Oh, great. That explains a couple of things. That means that he is probably... How would I put this? I think the old term for it was zenith. I haven't really spoken to peers about it or anything. I've read a couple of old books, but from what I understand of how it used to work, people who had the sun disk on their head that didn't have the little rays coming off of it, they were the priests. They were the ones who were the religious speakers and, cultivators of the people. They led the worship of the unconquered sun back in the day. And a lot of them also kind of went off the script a little bit and decided that they were going to be their own god kings, but, I don't exactly have to explain to the rest of you, I think, about how that went. But if he's got that going on, and he's, from the underworld, and aligned with the Neverborn, and they're squawking in his head loud enough to grab him by the brainstem and pilot him around to do things, that reinforces the idea that he is a religious fanatic of the Void, or at least has the conviction of it. May not necessarily have to be religious, it may just be that level of zealotry, that level of focus, that level of just will not stop once you have the conviction that you were right about something. Which is certainly right.
Yeah, that's about what we got in the arguments.
Right, so... again, I really don't have practical experience on this one. I just kind of have what I picked up from what I've lived. If I had to guess if there is any correlation between what they could do and what he could do, probably can take a punch real hard. Can probably talk you into doing things that you would never do, and then only have you make you think about it later on and realize that you were doing something fucked up. Probably would be able to bully the hell out of gods and spirits, and it's probably what he's been doing in the underworld now that I think about it. That's about all I really can remember. Basically, just think of the stories of the priestly god kings and they're going mad with power, and then just kind of put that in the dead world, and that's about what I would be expecting him to be thrown at. Now, for the rat, I don't know what's going on with that, because that's a different situation if they're making direct pacts, and I don't know what I would really be going for on that. From the sounds of things, you've already been taught a little bit about some of the Yozi, especially his patron. The thing that I would be worried about in particular is if they have an alignment with the Green Sun, then just being around them might make you sick. Like, really sick. There's an illness that I read back in the books that doesn't really show up much in the modern day unless the sorcerer has really screwed up. It's called the Green Sun wasting. And basically imagine if all of the little gods in your body and all of the essence meridians you had just kind of stopped, and your body didn't get the message until it tried to keep going, and then it just started to fall apart and just kind of have bits come off and blood come out of places blood shouldn't be. Like, that's the kind of thing that I'd be worried about, is unorthodox ways of attacking you or getting around. But from the way he's been acting, I would expect that he's more a saboteur, more the sneaky, underhanded, runs away and doesn't want to get into an actual confrontation, but was trying to turn allies against you kind of thing.
Yeah, we did investigate the desk of his cover in ministry, and yeah, that's about what we saw.
What did you find in there?
Lots of papers, box trapped with Yozi venom.
Wow, okay, he didn't want whatever was in there found. She kind of tilts her head, like, obviously curious to know what was in that one, but not directly pressing unless if you want to keep it secret.
If we got it on hand, I could probably show the papers that we couldn't decipher.
Yeah. You would probably have the papers, the orrery, and the other stuff.
So, there were all these papers we couldn't. It's like in a really weird script of Old Realm. And then
that's Malfian. Oh, no wonder. Oh, boy.
And then there's this thing. And I bring out the orrery.
Her eyes go bug wild at it. Whoa. Wow. Can I see that for a second?
Glances at the rest of the crew. Vibe feeling.
A shrug.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. It doesn't. She's not gonna break it.
Hands it off.
If anything,
pretty
she's
bad.
extremely ginger when she takes it away from you. She's very delicately holding it by the base in one hand and kind of holding it almost at arm's length before pulling it in slightly and examining it. What in the hell did you do? Going to have her roll?
And this was the thing that was in the Yosi Venom box, right?
Should have been, is what I will say.
Yeah.
Star metal, Malfian brass, and orichalcum. This is a bespoke and complicated little contraption you made. Or I'm guessing, she flips it over, looks... Oh, yeah, you had this commission. Flips it back over in her hand, takes a look again. What if I just, very carefully... She takes one of the representations of the planets and cranks it a couple of degrees, watches, cranks another, and is, like, visibly... has some form of specialized going on by the way she's looking at it. Oh, you diabolical little shit. Oh, you clever little bastard. Oh, no, you're gonna have fun with this, she says as her smile just keeps getting wider and wider. All right. So, I have another bit of good news for you, she says as she kind of plonks it down on the stairs next to her. This, she says, tapping the top of it and tapping the sun as it is going around the centerpiece. This messes with fate. Specifically, it messes with the transmission of messages that is usually favored by gods. You know how you have to send paperwork up and down through creation somehow, right?
Right.
Sure.
You said he had a whole lot of letters and a whole lot of things that he shouldn't have had access to?
Oh.
Oh.
This is what he uses to spy on people's mail.
She taps it. You set this up the right way, and you put this next to a blank piece of paper, and it'll just write down any written content in the transmission it detects in that celestial space, I'll call it.
Man, that's fucked up.
This is how he had all the intel he was working with. And you just took it from him. And now you got it.
She breaks this.
She shrugs. I mean, you can break this if you want. It is pretty goddamn dangerous. But if they don't know, or they're not thinking about it, you could always try to set it to whatever frequencies that you think they're using to try to talk to each other, and then now you have their communications.
I'm just gonna press some shit and see what. Okay, out of character. What do I roll to have Yang just like begrudgingly start trying to figure out how to intuitively read the mail fraud machine, or how to use that?
Finesse occult.
Or sagacity, probably, right?
Yeah.
It's sagacity.
Sagacity. Sorry, brain is still partially on old engine.
Very begrudgingly, just like, fine, I'll use the mail fraud device.
It's probably something.
Wait, can I get more dice with the child play?
I'll let you add a stunt die, your 2 stunt dice from using that knowledge from the play.
It didn't. Oh, it mattered.
It does matter. So yeah, that's 7 successes. So that is actually enough to get what you need. It is almost certainly that you will align it so you have the planet that you want. Basically, there would be 5 categories of the planets, the 5 fates of journeys, battles, serenity, endings, and secrets. And that's probably where most of the mail is getting sorted, is into one of those, and then the other departments would be setting up other planets and stars and the sun and the moon to get that kind of thing. Basically, so long as you set it up in the right positions, you will be able to tap into the official communications networks of that star. It would be incredibly fiddly to set it up for a specific channel and not have it just vomit a bunch of unrelated information that you have to sit through. But if you could, then it's an almost undetectable, basically, letter cracker.
Oh, sounds like you need someone who's good at sorting through paper.
Yeah. Your 2 options are basically set it to the blast feed channel and then have someone go through the signal and go through the noise and look through the signal, or try and be as specific as possible. Well, that's very, very different.
I don't even know how I would represent this thought process in the system. I want to just blindly guess that if I hold down one of the buttons, that's how it doubles as like the fast dial button to like.
You mean like the send function?
Just like one of the button here is just like pre-dialed to one of the ones he uses a lot.
I have an idea that might be what I think you're trying to go for here. Just kind of feel over the mechanisms and look for that like slightly more worn position that it feels like it's been slid to more often.
The grooves that it is naturally.
You're looking for the impression of
what is
its
the
usual
thing
resting space.
Because they're probably never expecting this to be in anyone else's hands ever. So what's the thing that dramatically slap to make mail fraud happen, like a theater kid?
Roll me finesse stealth and a 2-die stealth.
Hold on, I'm gonna go pretend. Let me get in character real quick. I'm gonna put on a shitty cloak and start monologuing, and then pretend I'm going on my lair and just kind of like, ugh, and then I use the mail fraud machine.
Sybil looks so proud of you. Just the rest of you just see her like beaming like a proud parent.
Milan slides a sheaf of paper right next to the machine.
As you do, there is a pause, and then all of a sudden, there is like 5 or 6 different letters at once being written onto the piece of paper, so it is clear that you need more pieces of paper stacked in. And as you look over, you can tell that it is multiple pieces of information that are not really relevant to you. Roll me finesse bureaucracy.
Ooh. Let's throw the excellency at that. I want to get spicy.
Bureaucracy.
Embassy, yeah.
And bureaucracy.
That's 5 successes.
Wait a minute. This looks like normal paperwork that some asshole working for the Division of Endings would be filing. You probably have the right number. You just gotta wait until you get the right messages.
He was listening in to endings. He was listening to purple.
Yep.
Well, how much paper do we have? I can just sit here and feed it shit.
Milan hands you a still bound sheet of 18.5 by 11 paper.
All right, Yang will stake out the mail.
So I will
Time
say,
to stake the mail.
I will say that this is going to either be a venture or a long-term plot thread thing, because, hey, even if you get as specific as possible with trying to listen in on divine paperwork, you're going to have hundreds and hundreds of filed pieces of paperwork that have nothing to do with what you want. So this is going to be a longer-term thing.
Yeah, also, I'm just fascinated by what the fuck this thing produces.
Right now, a whole bunch of very boring paperwork about the natural decay rate of certain plants up in the swamp area above the cliff.
Just basically, that's not boring at all. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I say boring. When I say boring, it is specific. I mean that it is written as dryly as possible, but it is very much information that is interesting to Yang. And it is basically like, yes, I went back in this, and yes, I took the measurements, and yes, it's still going this way, and yes, I double-checked with the gods to make sure they're giving the correct measurements, and why do we have to do these personal audits? I know it's only once a century, but you know how fast that adds up when you have this much workspace, and just as much passive-aggressive venting as is possible while still filling out the completely impartial bureaucratic part of it.
And this person gave themselves all 5 stars on their personal review.
Yep.
I'd probably call Milan over and be like, yo, check out this rumor. This one's funny. This has nothing to do with anything, but like, someone's really mad at board prices.
Aw. Salmon died. Well, it happened apparently to this on schedule. Rest in peace, fish.
Yeah, just like a paperwork of like the local salmon spawning, and yeah, the appropriate number of them died.
This is boring as hell.
Yeah. Why do you think I keep calling you over every so often to go look at some stupid bullshit?
I know. I love it.
Sybil leans back on the boat, gives Guan a look, and then just kind of pats on the head and looks over. So that complicates matters, doesn't it? She says, muttering to herself, thinking about that, before glancing back over at the rest of the hearth. Alright, so more accurately, so I don't step on your toes. I'll be real about who be stepping on whose toes in this ballroom dance. What are you all planning on doing next, so I can help you? Because this is clearly getting to the point where I have my fun. It is time for me to actually put on my goddamn pants and get past my hang-ups about not interfering too closely and actually do what I can.
Ooh, maps. I've got maps to show you.
Maps?
Okay, so the Gonzoda Redoubt. They had 2 War Striders down there that Tyrant has swiped.
Her eyes bug out. Okay, yeah, never mind on the partially intervening thing. This sounds like I might actually have to put part of my whole ass in. Go on.
We're trying to figure out where they took them. So they pulled them into the underworld and slaps the map of the Dragon Lines. I need to figure out where upstream they are hiding this, using this as a map of the underworld.
This map can hold so many locations.
Now, because we know that they wanted to mess with the Four Winds Throne, it's going to be upriver from that. And I figure it's also going to be in some location that's convenient for them to access in the real world, but out of the way in the underworld.
Well, she says, thinking about it, she's looking over the map. Because I'm thinking of how she would be responding to the map in particular. Just getting more and more visibly kind of frustrated with herself as she's looking at the map. This is something Juan would know more. He's the one who handles most of the travel plans and most of the regional stuff. When he's more himself, I'm sure he'll be able to help you out with directions on that. But I think you're on the right idea. I feel like it's going to be down below. It's going to have some sort of accessible route that's a pain in the ass to get and easy to guard.
Oh, also, that reminds me. Our third party friend, Purple.
Oh, the sidereal.
Yeah, is that the word for weird? Yeah, the
Oh,
sidereal.
did he? She kind of scritches the right on the top of the head. He never told you the word for it, did he? A little paranoid bastard. Anyway, go on.
Right. We found him in Gonzoda. He tried to pull a move.
And she's going like kind of nakedly surprised, looking on her face. Define move on you.
Well, he pulled out this orb and it split us into like mirror copies of.
Surprised has gone to horrified. How are you alive? How are you alive?
Well,
Me and the old man yelled at him to piss up a river, and eventually he did.
Wait.
Like he tried to do.
Like he's like putting her hands in kind of a prayer position over her mouth, leaning in forward to think for a moment. He used the obsidian shards of infinity on you, and you bullied him into stopping?
He's an incompetent idiot, all right?
yeah, he really doesn't know what he's doing.
He tried to do kung fu on us, and then my horse laid on him. It was actually
Completely wretched, just of no value whatsoever, honestly.
You have to realize his kung fu is bad and he's an idiot.
Okay, so got taught by a master, learned like an idiot. Got it. Okay, go on.
Yeah, so I only got a bit of details from everyone else. You can ask about their, I guess I call it boss fights? Anyways, yeah, he was trying to assassinate me and Old Man because he kind of created Old Man.
I forgot who we fought.
We fought Oak.
Oh yeah, they do that, she says overhead.
Oh, yeah, I clotheslined Oak.
Yeah, you fired the ballista.
And like
The me lista.
Yeah, the
don't
new lista.
remember.
As in, you launched yourself out of it?
Yes, that ballista was involved, and yes, I was launched out of it.
She just, like, smiles with a hand to her chest. I know. Yeah, anyway.
I don't remember much. I think that's the thing the sidereals do.
Yeah, no, they scramble your head quite a lot.
You could probably ask my horse. I think my horse remembers the most.
The horse remembers.
No, she never forgets.
She what? Hold on, what?
So,
I'm sorry, hold on, what?
So,
like, this is actually the tone of civil. Like,
he has
kind of.
My assumption is he has to decide whose mind he wipes and did not think the horse was important. It's a very good horse. Remember when I said his kung fu is bad and he's an idiot?
Oh my god!
He's been fooled by a horse. It's pretty funny.
She's like actively having tears go down her face at this point as she turns down to Squad. And you were so afraid that he was gonna murder him, and he's oh no, you're gonna get me for this when you come back. But no, I know you're in there. I know you're hearing this. I know you're I know you're hooting. Oh, but how are you this
Your Honor, I want to cross-examinate the horse.
It was at that moment the collective known as Guan decided they're going to spend another hour in the shut-off dimension.
Maybe she'll forget to give me sass about this later.
She wipes the tears out of her eyes. Wow, congratulations on maybe having the worst agent of heaven ever minted on your case. Good job. Wow.
Anyways, if he shows his face again, I'm going to embed my fist into it.
Same.
Oh yeah, no. That normally I would be advising you to take a much more sideways path because they're usually a lot better than that. But in this case, yeah, no, just shove his
Why
head.
do you think I'm committing mail fraud right now? Normally, I would never do this.
Hey, hold on now.
What's
Now,
it yakking?
If you had a funny enough reason, you can't tell me you would.
I mean, yeah, that's why I wanted to break it immediately, so like the impulse wouldn't come across me, because I totally would.
Fair enough. So, stops and thinks again. tapping her chin. Alright, so we've got our 3 players that have been accounted for. One's throwing a fit and is probably going to be on his own and isolated. One of them is a little rat fuck that you can throw probably just straight up bully in a fight if you ever get into a room with him. But the problem was getting him into that room, so you're probably going to have to find some way to connive your way into forcing him to a frontal confrontation with you, or make him feel confident enough to set one up in which he can feel like he can monologue at you, and then you beat the living daylights out of him. And then the bureaucrat, well, sounds like he's going to be a self-solving problem in my opinion, but, you know, we'll see.
Well, the plan with Ruby is to put him in a box.
Yeah.
What?
So we're thinking up. I don't know where the wizard went, but
Okay, so
I will say that that also was part of the reenactment.
Okay.
Okay.
But yes, so, you know, he has that, we are, showing the ever so smallest bit of pity on him by not immediately atomizing him and instead only putting him in a box for 50,000 years. If he will tell us how to destroy 2 Death Lords.
I affectionately call it gay baby jail.
She draws herself up much more kind of not rigid, but much more seriously than before. She's
Good
looking at the
music theme.
Have you talked to anyone he's hurt about this?
Nope,
Pardon?
not yet. That was a concern that was drifting across.
Yes.
We should talk to Bear about it, but it is possible. I'm also not entirely convinced he wasn't just trying to
What do you think
give
you're
us
getting
lip
at?
service.
Is it just the information he has, or do you really want to help him?
Here's okay, so he's doing all of this because the Neverborn are constantly yelling at him.
Is he?
Yes, well, that's our understanding.
Who
I
told
think
Yes,
all
that
of
is
it
his
is because of the
allegement.
Netherborn. It's just that it's forcing him to do the worst things possible
It
because
is
the Whisperers
his
are in
excuse
his ears.
for his.
And
Yeah.
who told you that?
He did.
But
did I say
it
about the
does.
Right, that's
That's
why
what
I'm
I
taking
wanted
it
to
with a
ask
grain of
you.
salt.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you what he could do. So if he can do what you hypothesize, it means anything he says is possibly a bunch of crap.
Hence why also what he's getting out of this by us not hunting him down until he is dead forever is he gets to be put in the cube.
Our alternate term for this is also putting him back into a tomb.
She nods and thinks.
I personally don't seriously believe anyone would want to sit in a box for fuck knows how long, just so they can have a clear head, but like, I don't know his life, you know?
You
Maybe
would
that's
say
actually
that. You are alive.
fair enough.
She nods along with the propose and gives a point. We don't know how closely he is to being alive or dead right now. We don't really know anything about him aside from, number 1, what's come out of his mouth, and number 2, what he told Bismuth, which is also what came out of his mouth. And to someone who was very vulnerable, and someone he was deliberately trying to tweak into doing what he wanted.
I think he just wants to be a heel, if I'm being completely honest with you. If he wanted to kill us and kill himself, he could have then. He chose not to.
So why?
Again, I just think he just likes this and is trying to find a reason to keep perpetuating it forever.
She leans in. And that's a weakness. If he really was all in on the apocalypse thing, like you said, he'd already be working on it. He wouldn't be playing a goddamn fool like this. He wouldn't be playing the supervillain. So why? Why you? Why this? Why Bismuth?
Well, Bismuth is because Bismuth will listen to him.
She nods. And
Darren, can I make Milan goes into his Mind Palace role to ask a DM question and answer?
go ahead. You can use the dice pool you can determine for that. Probably sagacity.
Okay.
I choose to believe that this is the Sherlock Mind Palace.
I think anybody who makes that joke
Yeah.
is referring to that, yes.
Okay, so my question to you, the DM, is... We know what he wants, which is the end of the world. What else does he want? What is his short-term want?
What
Or
is
not
his...
to be there, right?
What... Say again, Sana?
He wants the Neverborn not to be shouting at him, right? That's a short-term what?
That feels...
I think that's the end goal.
That's the end game for him, is... Which would be, like, either the apocalypse or his problem being solved.
And
Short-term goal is... He wants impediments to his plan out of the way, and yet you're still here. And that, as Milan is watching Sybil's face, you can kind of see her recognize that glint in your eyes and just smile wider.
He wants us out of the way, and he wants us dead, but...
Then the game ends.
He can't.
No. If killing you was a part of his plan, you'd be dead. You'd be stone dead. You're important to him somehow. No matter how he postures, no matter what he says, no matter how he lies, you being alive is critical to this somehow.
Wait a minute. Wasn't there 5 elements in the place where we fought him?
Yep, that would be the Heart of a Sword Creation Mance, yeah.
Does he need 5 elemented dragons?
Could be. I can't say exactly what his plan is, but I can guarantee you that if he's doing all of this supervillain trying to convert you over to his side, join the dark, join the evil.
Well, I mean, like, the satrap, it really looked like she didn't know the hell that thing was down there, so...
No, she knew.
Oh yeah, no, never trust a satrap.
What
Really,
she
you think
was
so?
shocked was that a demon, evil undead, got into it.
When she kind of leans forward is... Think of it this way. You were able to get into a situation where you could talk to him, yes, because you had a bomb over your head. So he couldn't kill you that way. He had the other opportunities to kill you the other ways, but he didn't take those. And that might just be an ego. However, he knows exactly where you went after that. He knows where this boat is. He knows all of you by sight, by name, by travel, everything.
Well, actually, does he know where the boat is?
Probably.
Well, he saw it in the... He likely would have known it was in talk, but afterwards, yeah, no, who knows on the... She pauses for a sec. Yeah, right, yeah, the tracking thing. But she kind of taps the ramister of the boat. No. This is too showy for him. It's...
Darren,
might be
I'd like to add another piece of evidence to my Mind Palace.
Good.
I'd like to think about all the letters Rat has sent us under the assumption that these letters are trying to get us to work to the ends of Tyrant. Is there any information in the letters we've gotten that might lead us to do something that benefits Tyrant?
I'm trying to think very specifically here.
With the assumption of, at that time, he was working alongside Ruby Tyrant.
The letters were pushing you against Tyrant to a degree, but the other letters you saw to other people, and the other insinuations of what was going on under the hood, wanted what looked like 3 things. 1, mass death. 2, access to the gate of heaven, which would mean 3, the death of the demon. For a while, that was one of the Hearth's openly stated goals, was to get rid of Dome, which would have been a proxy way of doing it. But now you've changed your mind on that, so it can't have just been that.
Well,
Repose, specifically, and only repose. Give me a Fortitude Sagacity roll with a stun.
Alright, and I will add in that stored die from earlier. And yeah, throw the excellency into the deep think.
Why would someone working with the Weaver of the Loom of Flesh need 5 Dragon Bloods in a perfect hearth specifically to be together and alive until the moment they no longer need it?
As he's doing a ritual, because he's gonna do the thing. He's doing ghost things.
Are we gonna be left holding the bag?
A cycle.
Oh, he's doing the thing. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Sybil kind of looks between Yang, Repose, and Milan. Am I missing something here?
Yeah. Is this the dragon thing? It's supposed to be a dragon thing. It's good. You know, 5 elements.
Memorials. Where this is, or at least what I'm putting forward here. So this is something that was very briefly name dropped way back during one of the ghost briefings. That
this is a long time coming.
At some point, centuries ago in the backstory, the Weaver successfully prototyped creating an undead equivalent of a dragon-blooded.
But yeah, just make one.
And what better to do some sort of giant, dumbass, world-shaking plan than to try doing that on a perfect hearth in the middle of an incredibly geomantically connected region.
During calibration.
I'm gonna kick his ass so bad.
Why would he go out of his way to work for another Death Lord on the other side of the region to just do random shit for him unless he had something to get out of it? Weaver had to be integral to his plan somehow. And what can Weaver offer? What is the ultimate thing Weaver has ever done? If he can't have the Four Winds throne, then maybe he can have you guys.
Well, joke's on him. He'd have to kill me.
It's probably the plan at some point.
Better men than him have tried.
It also explain why he didn't kill you earlier when you were weak, because he wants your essence to be as stoked and angry and potent and powerful as possible before throwing you into the process.
And what a dick.
Well,
Sybil is
That's
just...
sure, What do we do with this?
Sybil's just kind of looking around awkwardly. I mean, it does illustrate that he has a very good reason he wants you, well, either dead or however you wanted to find it. So either double down on the idea of him really wanting to find some other way that doesn't involve you dead, or you assume that he's just stringing you along. It really depends on how much trust you're willing to put into him and how much effort you're really willing to put in on making him a better person and trusting that that can happen to somebody like that.
Oh,
She kind of shrugs. And yeah, I mean, yeah.
He got his chance, and if he is spurning me in the face, then he's not going to have one for long.
Fair enough.
Well, I think we need to do what we've always done.
Alfred?
I was going more of the walking wrecking ball route of us just wandering the 100 Kingdoms and solving problems.
Points over at Milan. That's some philosophy after my own heart, if I do say myself. See, a lot of these evil schemes depend on people having predictable motives and, like, you know, motivations that they will follow, like railroads on the track. I mean, that's not a metaphor that would be used in this setting, but whatever. She just says, people would have motivations that are very easy to predict and only go one way and never turn off. And if there's one thing the rest of you have been good at, it has been confusing the hell out of anybody trying to predict your actions. So, if Tyrant is relying on all of you being alive until calibration at some point, I'm not in some magic circle in the underworld so he can grab you by the souls, or whatever he's doing, if that's even what he's planning, why not use that against him? Why not hold the fire wand to his head and tell him, okay, so you want us alive? What if we go suicidally endanger ourselves a bunch of times fighting the other two of them? You want to come bail us out or what?
Obsidian has a really dumb thought that he does not voice, but I want y'all to know that Obsidian extremely had the thought of, wait, if we all need to be alive, then what if we were dead? Wait.
And that's what Sybil just said, is like, alright, you need me alive? Let's start playing chicken!
So, what I'm suggesting, let's just go do what we've always done.
It's as good a plan as any. After all, it's your tuition's taking it this far.
Why do you think I'm doing mail fraud?
We already had the initial.
You, Yang, you've got it covered.
We already had the initial thought of the place on the map that none of us have been to yet, really. We haven't had any problems there.
Yeah, we should get over there.
We're going to go mess with the guild.
Time to kick the guild out of the 100 Kingdoms. Fuck yeah, let's go.
She scritches Guan on the back of the head, just kind of very intently, just, oh, you're going to have so much fun when you wake up, hon. Oh, man, you're going to have so much fun helping with them. Oh, do you hear that? They're going to be doing the thing. Oh, man. She's just kind of muttering to herself and Guan at this point.
Time to kick the entire guild's ass.
Hey, do you all want to go help stage a revolution against the guild?
You say to the merchant in the party.
I mean, hey, if I'm being directly invited to help, I won't say no.
Sybil, do you want to come help us?
I'll talk with my husband and see what I'm allowed to get away with, alright?
Avoiding eye contact with Repose.
She raises her hand, and look, and if you want to have a veto power on anything, I'm still listening to you guys. We still owe you more than one. But, I mean, if you're giving me an excuse to start rattling some bird cages, as it were.
I mean, it's the guild. It's morally correct.
Just look at Propose. Come on, I get to kick the guild's ass.
Propose is not stopping you from doing any of this.
Yeah, she's like,
yeah.
Sybil has mastered the art of talking past and acknowledging, but not directly engaging with Repose out of respect for Repose's current emotional state.
Yeah, there are
Everyone has
boundaries.
seen
That's
Repose
fine.
properly angry at things. This is Repose in a state of formal non-recognition.
But not getting
I
This
angry.
is
do not see
diplomatic
it.
cold shoulder. This is...
Yeah.
This is not Repose objective.
This is
to it.
professional distaste for a person.
Oh, we're gonna kick the
This is
guild
becoming
ass.
less. This is becoming less personal and more. It's my job.
Finally. I get to kick the guild's ass. Yes.
Shout out to chat saying, "Sybil, do you want to help?" Has the same energy as SR is approaching.
For all the people who live in this area, who have lived in the area, which part of the guild needs to be kicked over the most? Where can we do the most damage?
The slaves. The slave trade.
No, I would say, well, slave trade is always an easy target. I would say the two primary ones I would say is whatever they're pulling out of the swamps in terms of botanicals that they would refine into drugs, and they have a mining operation for precious metals out in there.
Yeah.
And that would slit their throat.
Reminder how big of a drug trade they had in the Jade Prefecture.
Ooh.
Their two primary exports right now are not actually slaves. It is precious metals and drugs.
What about the God, what is it? Fire something.
I can make better use of those drugs than they could.
The
Fire.
fire
The
dust. Is
dust
that
mine was noted as being something separate from
Yeah,
the
it's a
guild
neutral
operation.
thing.
Okay,
It's not.
okay.
It's not affiliated with the guild
okay?
by
Good.
virtue of when
That's
the
a
guild came
local
in, they got
operation.
blown up.
Okay, we don't have to go help people seize the means of production there.
Yeah, no. They've already got. That is a worker-run collective, basically.
Good.
It is a situation where you come in willingly with the signing of a waiver of, yes, I'm willing to work in a wild pocket, and I understand what that means, in exchange for incredible amounts of riches and
Also,
early retirement.
with the sword wall, that is softly Koi's territory.
Yes.
Okay.
Koi has a
Koi's
eye. Kind of,
supervising that area.
Koi has a corner of an eye on the air.
All right. Let's go talk to some workers and figure out where the issues are going on, and let's go knock some heads.
Do we think that this is something where we could split up and one group hits the mine and one group hits their drug operation, or should we stay as a group the whole time through?
Sybil shrugs. Depends
Because
on how
if
you
we
feel
split
work
up,
as
I
a
mean,
team.
it's more dangerous, which means we might be able to get Ruby to help us.
True.
And I can't think of many more things that might terrify the guild than to have some dude show up in full plate armor shooting beams of light from his hand and torching their guards to get them to never ever do this again.
I mean, they have enough surreptitious trade with the underworld that they probably know exactly what he was when he showed up and shit their pants and start making wrong assumptions. Maybe not that local branch directly, but whoever runs it.
Then again,
I'm still okay with Shing and Alon, honestly.
Darren, could I get the 100 Kingdoms map? The
Sure.
the local road
Yeah.
map. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We go punch. All right, so this place has not yet been touched.
Yep, the River Trading Company.
We've already messed up the Fallen Rivers, their plans. We chased Green out of there already. We have an inn here, so it's going to be a lot harder for them to do a move here. Already punched this. We like this person. We may
Steel
want
is
to check back.
fine.
He was
Steel is
fine, but
Sorry, I'm not looking at the map. Who is this, Burr?
Steel Terran Bureaucrat.
we might want to do a courtesy call to see how things are going.
Yeah.
If
Steel's fine. I like Steel.
yeah, we like Steel. Just courtesy call to see, hey, is there anything going on? See if there's anything going on under Steel's nose.
Welcome to Steel, brother.
Let's go make an ally of Steel. Let's go fill Steel in.
All right.
Not drop the whole thing, but like, hey, we're let's go invite Steel
Reinforce the ties between the Trident River.
reinforce the ties. Bring up Obsidian's
Plan.
defensive
I was
plan.
thinking that too.
This is pretty much out of the way, and Teeth has this covered, so there's no real issues over
We
here.
did receive news that Jimbus has been
Jimbus.
Oh, Jimbus has been acting up, right?
Yeah,
Jimbus
Jimbus
is
is
agitated.
And I will just give Milan for free. Hey, all the conversations about following roads and natural lines. Hey, what's Jimbus been tracing recently?
Jimbus has been tracing the dragon lines, and Jimbus has been getting closer to the roads.
We should probably find people nearby Jimbus to say if Jimbus was always headed in one direction, because Jimbus might be unconsciously following exactly where the war boundaries are.
You know, if they've
War
been
suits.
messing,
Sorry, that was wrong game. Things.
if they've been messing with the dragon lines, that's going to mess with Jimbus's migration
Internal
path.
direction.
I think we've got some funk going on right here. And I accidentally pressed the back button.
Well,
Milan forcibly ejects himself from the room.
Who wants to go be adventurers in a region?
It's been a while since we just went and
Yay.
did stuff.
It's been a while, and now, yeah, I've been setting this arc up for now it is adventure across the 100 Kingdoms for good old time's sake.
Part 2.
Yep.
This time with intent.
That part of Stormblood where somebody just walks up to Alphanod and you and just goes, "Hey, you want to be an adventurer for the first time in fucking years?"
God, do you want to just go, like, investigate the Mad King's tomb for old time's sake?
Remember when you weren't a god killer?
You want to just go look for treasure just because? You don't even need it.
Who wants to go solve people's problems?
For the hell of it, not because we're trying to stop some fucking plot.
Oh, this time we are
Also.
stopping some
This
plot,
time
but
you have the advantage of moving against the antagonists with intent and first. The shoe is on the other foot.
initiative.
And I think that's a pretty good spot to end it, actually, for the night. A little bit early, but, you know, down a player and just a good plot beat to end on. Of next time, for the first time in a while, a completely
Adventure.
accurately, adventure awaits!
follow the adventure line.
Huzzah!
Bup, 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 bup.
All right.
Yep. Just kind of drawing the adventure line.
Next time.